Hi folks, welcome back to another iPad tutorial. So we're going to continue with the iPad for now. And this is kind of a follow on to my previous one, which showed you the template for the master detail view and showed you how to edit to alter the detail view. You know, the Apple template doesn't really do the business, so I showed you in the last one how to alter it. So we're going to continue with that now. I'm going to advance it a bit, like the last one just showed you how to change the text label on a detail view, but that's not going to do very well on the app market. You know, it's not going to bring in your first million overnight. So we're going to build it a bit better, and we're going to use the basis from the MVC iPhone example I used with the cocktails, which put all your data into a NS object class and then took it out later on using the controllers to pass it to the next view. But the difference this one is with the other app. With the iPhone app, every time you press the cell, we use the navigation control to push to a new view, and in the view that load, we set the image view and the text view to the parameter from the data class. But in this, because if you load for both classes from the split view, both load at the same time when you start the app, you can't do it that way. So rather than do a nice innovative way, I'm going to do a bit of a cheat way and make it NS notification object and do it that way. They're really handy to use and very handy in this situation. So, but to start off, we're going to very quickly recreate what we did in the last tutorial, which is get access to our class first of all. So you make a copy of this and name it another detail view controller, and then synthesize. Another. If you weren't watching the last tutorial, this is to give you access to your from the master tail view to the detail view controller. So master detail view controller dot another equals detail view controller. Fantastic. So now we have access through this object instance to our detail view controller. So first thing we're going to do is make our new object, and we're going to make it an NS object, and we're going to call it a recipe. We're not going to vary from the last MVC very much, but just because it's a nice way of doing it. I used to make things a very bad way. When I first started programming 2 years ago, I used to make God objects, which are just massive single classes that have everything in them, and they are not the way to go. This is, you might see like the longer way to do it, but when you've got a big a big app, you will be thankful to have everything centralized and easy like this, rather than having to worry about, oh, where's this coming from, where's this bit. So if you centralize things like this, put everything into data objects and create them at the right time, it'll make your later life in app construction so much easier. Instructions. I'm just making the data object here now. It should be nothing new to you. And non-atomic. Retain UI image. Actually, I'm just going to change these to copy because I keep having this argument with people about using copy or retain on strings. It has no effect. I've never seen it make any difference in an application, but people know more than me, so I just fold and go with the flow. String, instructions, and image. Our data model is complete. Well, the holder is complete. Now, what to do first? Okay, we're going to make. I usually make all my data from the start in the delegate, but for now we're just going to keep it really simple and do it all in the master view controller. So we'll make a few properties here. Property, non-atomic, atomic, retain, NS mutable array. I'm going to call it recipe array. And we have to import our recipe class, of course. Import recipe property non-atomic. If you wonder why this might be coming a bit clearer now, because I've finally stopped recording off my second laptop and used my second monitor as a recording screen. Don't know why I did it before. It just never occurred to me that I can record off a different screen. And recipe. So we're now going to have access to a recipe class through recipe. But do not forget, we must synthesize these. Synthesize recipe array and recipe. Now we're going to clean up this class because the stuff here which is no good to us. Delete. You might delete that because we're going to be wrecking that anyway soon enough. And this method down here in the did select that, we are not going to push into our detail from the thing. That's nice and descriptive. Okay, now I'm going to copy and paste in some code here. This is just a setting up of the data object. If you've watched my previous tutorials, you understand every single line of this, and I'm just not bothered typing it all out again. So we're instantiating our array, we're instantiating our recipe objects, we now have our accessor, and we're adding each of these items to the data model and our array. So if you tried printing out now any of these things without properly accessing it, it'll come out as a memory address because it's in a mass of data. So, but it still comes out as 3 objects, but you know, if you try printing this out, it's going to say, what do you want? And not going to give you an answer because it's a computer. Number of rows and sections, we want to have recipe array count. And what we want to do, we want to set up our cell labels. So we have this is to access the parts of array we want. Recipe equals recipe array object at index path. Why does it always offer that? I've never ever used that before. Index path dot row. Sorry if this is kind of hurried. It is about 9 o'clock in the evening and it's been a long day. This is actually my break from real work, making tutorials, which is kind of sad. Oh well. Equals recipe dot name. Awesome. So we're now taking the name of each item in the array and make it into our cell label. So now, okay, that's good, but we want now to push this to a new view. No, actually, no, we don't want to push a new view because we can't, because both views are loaded at the same time inside the same window. So we want to directly access something from another class without pushing the information to a view. We're going to do that by a little, not really a cheat way, just a expedient way of doing it. But first of all, let's set up our detail view controller. Just want to check how we're doing for time. Okay, this is taking longer than I thought. Stop talking, more coding. Okay, import recipe. Property, not atomic, retain, recipe. Of course, we need to access stuff again. Property, no, that's what we need there. We need the recipe. No, we do need something else here. Property, not atomic, retain, IB, outlet, UI, image, view, image, view. Awesome. Synthesize, image view, and recipe. Admiral, awesome. Gonna quickly do our nib. You know I hate these things, but if I don't do it, people give out to me because they can't follow my code. Image view. Let's put it on the view anywhere. Make it a bit bigger and wider so you can actually see what we're going to be doing. Doesn't have to be pretty, but you have to be able to see the bleeding thing. Delete that label because we're not going to use it anymore. Okay, and don't forget to connect it because I forgot to do this earlier. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working because I didn't connect the bloody nib. Okay, that's all we're going to do for the nib here because we're not going to really bother with that too much, just a demonstration. And okay, now, as I said, I'm going to not so much cheat as do this fast. Because if you look at examples, you make a new detail item and that runs that script there and you can update the view here. But we can't do the view load because that's run at the very start and we don't want configure to run because that's going to make something that's not there anymore probably crash on us. Okay, so I'm going to make a NS notification thingamajiggy because it's much easier than being clever. Okay, NS notifications. If you don't know what these are extremely handy to use. I have a tutorial on them on YouTube, so I advise you to check it out. Observer, ID, self, selector, add selector, receive notification. name test object self, close and close. Okay, and we're going to make this object very quickly, so this method very quickly. Void notification ns notification notification. No. Okay, so this is an if statement to see if it is what we want it to happen. If notification name is equal to string test, then self.navigation so if this is I don't know why it's giving me not completing it. It is a real item. Navigation item dot title. I think this isn't going to work for me for some reason. Equals to recipe dot name. I can see why it's not going to work for me because I haven't finished off the previous line. There we go. And self.image view set image recipe dot image. Okay, so you can see that we've already added to our data model from the previous class. It's instantiated all these things as an array. We're selecting which of the array we want from the previous table view, and then we're going to post. Okay, I haven't made that part yet. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. We have our cell set up. I should probably test this at every stage, but I don't have the time to do all this every single time, unfortunately, because I can only make each video 15 minutes. But now, we want to set it so when you press the cell, something happens. So another view can draw, so our access to this class dot recipe is equal to recipe array object add index path dot row. Fantastic. And then now when this happens, we want to tell it something's happening. So the data will be there, it'll know something's happening, but we have to update the view. So this is our way of telling the view that this has completed its action, and go do it. Post notification. Nope, I forgot a bracket. Post notification name. Test has the exact same name as the observer. Object self. Awesome. And I believe that's all we need. I think that's, yeah, it seems to be. Set the observer, sending to test. Detailed is how's the observer individual load. Oh, no, that would not have worked. It's not self. Object is nil because it's not sending anything, it's receiving something. That would not have worked at all. Ooh. Also, by the way, I paused the video there and checked it before I loaded it, so it wouldn't seem stupid. Okie doke. Have our detail view. Let's flip it sideways. Yahoo! Okay, I didn't account for the size properly there, but that's not what I wanted. Get back here, you. If you turn it lengthways, you can see we are displaying an MVC example with cocktails in a split view controller. It only took about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of coding. I was talking for a bit. Okay, folks, I'm going to end it here. As you can see, you could put the instructions in there too in a text view and link it up and just set text view property here. Very easy, very fast. Just mess around it so when it turns, it'll move on. It'll properly line up. But as you can see, the split view controller it hasn't changed that much. But just once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. Always keep in mind the MVC paradigm. It just makes things easier in the long run. Okay, folks, I will be back soon with more tutorials as soon as possible. Take it easy. Bye now.